What's this? Buzz, 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 buzz. It's a
B.
It's a bee. Very good. Very good. Hello. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. I am Chrissy Marie Taylor, for those of you who are just tuning in. And today's video is going to be a little bit different. Since it is Autism Awareness Month, I thought I might dedicate this video to the parents who have children with autism. My son, this is Kale, and he was diagnosed with autism when he was two years old. So since autism is a big part of my life in more than just one way, and what I mean by that, my brother, who is now 28 years old and is somebody that I grew up with very closely, he's also autistic as well. So I'm no stranger to being surrounded by people with autism, because like I said, my brother has autism and my son has it too. So it's definitely a big part of my life. Now I decided to make this video because I understand how difficult people may take the news. If your child is newly diagnosed and you clicked on this video and your child was a newly diagnosed autistic child, I understand that it may be a little bit difficult to understand, or you just never heard of it before, or maybe you heard of it before but you don't know exactly what autism actually is. Water. You gonna put your snot in my water, really? Like, it's not a unheard of thing. It is actually quite normal than what people may think. Kids with autism, they just move to the beat of a different drum. That's it. Like, they're in some ways different, but at the end of the day, they're still kids. They're just normal children. Like, it's nothing wrong with them. They're just different. That's all. So because I know a lot of people that, you know, if their child is newly diagnosed with autism, like, they panic or they freak or they don't know, like, they're really emotional about it, and I get it. But I guess I just never really had that issue because right when my child was in between 12 to 18 months, I started noticing signs of autism. Like, he started showing symptoms or signs of autism at an early age. So I kind of already figured it, and I can't tell you if it's genetic or not. Some people believe it is, some people believe other speculations about what autism is linked to, but it's nothing that you did wrong. Like I said, it's not an unheard of thing. Please try not to feel so alone. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, trust me, you get so used to it. Please stop. No, get down. You get really used to it that it starts to become like a normal thing. And then once you learn your child and what type of routine that they get into, and, you know, the different types of autism, because I also want to say that every child with autism does not mean that they're the same. Like, it's just like there's different children around the world, there's different kids with autism. Like, everybody is not on the same spectrum. This video is basically going to be about how I found out that Kale had autism, what type of signs he started to show, and I'm going to just run through some of the signs that I seen that he showed from when he was little to the time he got diagnosed with autism. I'm gonna tell you what are some of the signs that I saw. I'm just gonna give you all signs that you can look for that may indicate whether or not your child may or may not have autism. Okay, so yeah, Kel was 2 years old when he was officially diagnosed with autism. He started showing signs of autism actually a little under 12 months before he made his year mark. The first sign I noticed is he had really poor eye contact. That is a quite common sign with autistic children. That was one sign that I saw, which kind of raised a red flag for him being autistic. Yeah, he was very delayed in eye contact. Like, he would not, he'll look all over the place except focus on me or anybody else who was talking to him at the moment. Like, he was just very, very delayed. He always had sleep issues. So I know that's not a pinpointing sign with autism, but I've read somewhere that that can be an issue with children with autism. They have sleep problems. And Kel, for as long as I can remember, had always had sleep problems. He would never go to sleep. And so when he was a baby, he just would not sleep, like, at all. Like, until this day, he just has trouble sleeping. So he has gotten better, a lot better with his sleep. But before then, he just could not, like, he could not go to sleep. Like, he just really had a hard time going to sleep. So once my doctor gave us the okay for us to administer melatonin to him, that was actually a shift in his sleep pattern. So he did start to get better as he got older with his sleep. So we kind of refrained from giving him so much melatonin. Like, he can go a couple days without needing melatonin, but then there are nights where he has to, like, I'll give him some if I feel like he does not want to go to bed. So he showed signs of ADHD. Like, he was very, very, very hyper. Kel has always been extremely hyper. And when he was diagnosed with autism, he was also diagnosed with ADHD as well, which I kind of figured, because he was just overly hyper, like, just really bouncing off of the walls. And I know for some reason ADHD is more commonly linked with children with autism for some reason. I have no idea why. It is that way. So irritability, that is very common with children with autism. They literally can go from the most peaceful, calming people, and in 2.5 seconds, probably even less than that, the slightest something can seriously set them off. And my brother had that as well. So that's one thing he did have. Sleep problems, he didn't have sleep problems. He wasn't hyperactive. But irritability is one common thing with children with autism. And just like he can get really mad out of nowhere, he can become, like, really, really, really excited. And that's another common thing with children with autism. Like, they get super overly happy, excited. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, he's screaming at the top of his lungs and he can't control himself because he's just so excited. Like, it's just, I can't even describe it. But yeah, so children with autism get very, very, their emotions are like a light switch. They're on, they're off, they're on, they're off, they're on, they're off, just like in that quick second. Like, so yeah, so when he gets excited, he really, really gets excited. Delayed with speech. So this is kind of how it hit home. And sorry about my nail came off, and yeah. So I just thought I'd mention that. He was always delayed with speech. So this is kind of like, this is when I kind of figured, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, he may have autism. He really may have autism. Because most children, and not all, because every child is different, and this does happen. It doesn't necessarily mean that your child may have autism. It could just mean that they're just, you know, they take longer to talk or become verbal than other children, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they have autism. But for me, along with the other signs, this kind of like really confirmed it. So he would not talk. Kel he made noises, like babbling noises, but for the longest time I kind of figured that my child would be like nonverbal for like the rest of his life. Like, I just figured, like, I was just like, okay, he is not talking, like, at all. So it wasn't until he turned 4, like maybe like a couple months after he turned 4, till he started forming his words. And I was so happy. And by this time we already enrolled him in speech therapy, and he was already taking occupational therapy. So he was in therapy for speech and occupational therapy. So yeah, I believe that helped him a lot with his forming his words. Yeah, right before he turned 4 years old, he was really getting interested in a lot of YouTube videos and learning about different animals and colors and shapes and things like that. And he loved, that's one thing about children in general. I'm not just gonna say autistic children, but children love to learn. So he was one of those kids that was so interested in learning about shapes and colors, and so I believe like when he watched a lot of those videos and combination with that and him going to his speech therapies frequently, that helped him a lot with his speech. So he's still considered nonverbal simply because he doesn't exactly say sentences yet. He just figured out how to say spaghetti, and he loves spaghetti. So that was kind of fun to hear him say the word, or attempt to say the word spaghetti. He says skisketti. Skisketti is the funniest thing. Sensitivity to loud sounds. Kel had that, and my brother had that. So my brother, I noticed when he was younger, he did not like loud noises at all. So things like, you know, around 4th of July, fireworks, vacuum cleaners, balloon popping, anything like that, anything that just makes a lot of loud noises, he did not like that. And my son, I notice, is the exact same way. He does not like a lot of noises. He's like when he does not or when he feels like he's around a lot of loud noises, or he just is sensitive to a loud background, or whether we be outside and there's fireworks around the 4th of July or New Year's Eve, he walks around like this. And if your child does this half of the time and is also showing signs of what I just previously talked about, they may be autistic. Your child may be autistic, because he does walk around like this half of the time, and he doesn't like to move his hand unless he feels like the sound has went away. So they have they're very, very sensitive to sound for some reason. Children with autism tend to prefer to play alone a lot of the times. And as sad as that may sound, it sounds kind of like, oh, like they play, but really it's just how they prefer to play. Like they prefer to play by themselves. You know, sometimes Kel will feel in the mood where he wants to play with his cousins, and then there's other times where I may find him alone in his room, just kind of like with no care in the world, just like playing and enjoying himself simply by himself. Like he likes to play like that sometimes. And most children with autism, they prefer to play by themselves. Children with autism really have an obsession, not an obsession, I wouldn't say that, but they have strange attachments to the randomest things. Kel has always been like that. He has, like, he'll probably, for example, he'll like this little wooden stick right here, like he'll just be like, he'll hold on to this like this is just his, like a child would hold on to his favorite toy, like this is his jam right here, just a stick. Like we're just like, it's a stick. Like, what's so fascinating about it? But to them, they just, I don't know, it's just, they just have an interest in it. Another autism sign he showed was the lining up of his toys. He did this a lot. Like he would take all of his toys and like literally line them up from one end of the room to the next. So that was a very heavy trait with children with autism, and he was very particular in of how he wanted his toys, like whether he had them lined up or in a group or something like that. That was one of the things that I noticed that would set him off. Like if you moved his toys or anything that he did out of order, that would really like make him really upset. He did not like that. They say that's a form of some type of OCD, so I don't know if that's really common with children with autism, but I know he did that a lot, like a lot. To this day he still does that. Lastly, children with autism are very routine, and I noticed with Kel too. Like you cannot break their schedule. Like they live off that. My brother is like that as well. Like he's very heavy on routine. So for example, just a couple days ago, usually Kel knows like when it's time for dinner, you know, when it's time for breakfast, when he gets up in the morning, when it's time for breakfast, when it's time to eat lunch, when it's time for snack, when it's playtime, when it's dinner time, when it's you know, his tablet time. Like everything is a set routine. Just a couple days ago, he did not have, I forgot what was the reason. I think it was because yeah, because my drain was messed up, so he couldn't bathe in my tub. He couldn't bathe in the tub for that night, so he was really upset, and he was off his routine, so he ended up like not going to bed that night, like on his own. I had to give him melatonin, and usually, like I said, he's gotten really better with going to bed on his own. He knows before bedtime is bubble bath, right? Can you say bubble bath? Bubble bath. So those are just a couple of things I noticed with Kel before he was officially diagnosed with autism, and a lot of those things he still does. Your head is blocking it. A lot of those things he still does to this day, but he's really getting better with his speech, and he is getting better with his sleep routines. And he hasn't started school yet, so I feel like once he starts school, I will see like there's a lot of improvements that we are gonna be able to see. And he's been delayed with a couple of things. Like he just earlier this year just started getting potty trained, and he's currently right now he's 5, and this is the next thing that we're trying to work on, because just by him being irritable half of the time, this has helped him tremendously kind of, you know, calm down. That kind of sets his nerves down. So, but we're kind of trying to find other ways that can maybe calm him, you know, calm him down when he's feeling irritable. So that's why he's still on this, his pacifier. But we're trying to take him off of that, especially before he starts school. Actually, yes, really soon. But actually, that's the mission while we're in quarantine right now. So that's something that we're trying to work on, or we're trying to work with him with doing. So yeah, he's sleepy. But you should definitely talk to your physician if you think your child may be autistic or have autism. But it's like I said, it's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing in the world if your child has autism. They just learn different. It's just they learn differently, that's all. It's no different. They're no different really from any other child, other than the things that I've mentioned. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, you guys. I hope you found it helpful in some type of way. And if you are a newly parent that has a child that is newly diagnosed with autism, you know, welcome to the crew, welcome to the group. You know, it's tough sometimes and it gets a little bit rough at times, but you know, that's all that comes with the territory of being an autistic parent or a parent with a child with autism. We all go through it. We're all supportive. Like, there's groups and everything, resources, everything that'll help you out with anything that you need to know or need to research or learn or anything like that. But trust me, it may be new and it may be fresh, but you guys will get accustomed to it. It'll be like it's just so natural to you. Like I said, I hope this video helps someone out, and if you're a child or if you are a parent with autism, please leave me comments and like this video, subscribe definitely. I'll try to do more videos like this. I'll try to get my brother to come on too. He's really a sweetheart. You guys will love him. So once this quarantine thing is over and I do another autism video, I'm definitely going to try to bring him on as well. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Say bye-bye. Say wave bye-bye. He's so sleepy. You're sleepy? Bye guys.